We've all heard the phrase, you are what you eat, which isn't actually true. It's actually, we are what we digest because we can take in a whole lot of food and nutrients. And if our body isn't processing those and extracting the nutrients and minerals and things that we need, then it's just getting expelled out of our body a day or so later. So, how do those nutrients and minerals actually become part of our body? That's a question that I don't think is usually asked or answered. We just kind of assume that, okay, somehow it works. Somehow these nutrients get into our cells. So when we eat food, our body, if it's very cooked food, it's very easy for our body to extract the nutrients it needs from it. And if it's raw food, it's a lot harder because our body has to actually heat up the food and cook it in our bodies. So our body temperature and our acids and our enzymes actually cook that food. So it takes a lot more work for our bodies to process raw foods. But either way, whatever it is that we eat, the breakdown from the chemical processes in our body will take the tiny bits of nutrients that are broken apart and turned into like kind of like a liquid form within us. And then those little tiny molecules that are the right size to go through our gut walls get extracted into our blood vessels, and then our blood carries it around our body to the different things that it needs. Now, there's a process of how this is actually carried out in which parts of our body get things at different times. So, this is pretty cool. So, our plasma is the part of our blood that is the like the juice and the liquid. It goes to the lymphatic system, and that is the first thing that gets nourished from our food. So the juice from our food that is extracted, that is something that our body can work with in this molecule form, goes into the juice of our bodies, our plasma, and our plasma takes up what it needs to in order to do its plasma stuff. And then our next thing, so that takes 1 day for the plasma, for it to actually start to nourish the plasma, for the plasma to actually be able to use those nutrients and digest them in their own way to actually strengthen the plasma of our body. Then the next thing is 5 days later, so on the sixth day, our blood can take up the nutrients that it needs. So our body has metabolized it and turned it into the things that it needs to in order for our blood to be able to use it. And then another 5 days later, our body is able to send that to our muscles. So our plasma took what it needed, our blood took what it needed, and then the stuff that's been processed in a new way for our muscles to be able to take it up, our muscles take what it needs from those nutrients that are floating in our body. And then after another, so that's on the 16th day. So on the 21st day, another 5 days later, our adipose tissue, our fat tissue, ends up taking what it needs from those nutrients floating through our body. And it takes what it needs and it says, oh, I need a little bit of this here and I need a little bit of this here. And then our next tissue to take in what it needs is our bone tissue. And so our bone tissue is 26 days. And no, wait, is that right? Let's see. Plasma is 1 day, blood is 6 days, muscle is 11 days, adipose tissue is 16 days, bone is 21 days. 21 days. So 21 days into it, our bone starts to be able to take in what it needs. So like calcium, for example, our other tissues don't need as much calcium, and now it's been processed down after 21 days to a place where our bone tissue can use it. So it takes in what it needs to. So that vitamin D that you had 21 days prior is now actually getting absorbed into your bones. And then on the 26th day, our bone marrow ends up being able to take what it needs from all the nutrients within our body that have been processed down to a place where it can use it. And so that's why like bone marrow transplants and things, they take longer to anything to do with bone marrow takes longer for the body to heal and to replicate. And taking iron to help with your red blood cell count, it takes like months for that to like build. But even for it to first initially get to your bone marrow, it takes 26 days. And then you can build from there. So it takes months for it to build up over time. And then the very last thing that our body is nourished, takes nourishment to, is our reproductive system. So our reproductive system is like, really, if if you're a female and you have a period and you're having a really strong cycle, and you're like regular and your periods are going great, and I mean, it's that time of the month, so it's never perfect, but I mean, you know that you are really healthy if you have a regular cycle and you are not having severe cramping or severe bleeding or very light bleeding. It's just like a normal period, then you know that your entire body system is most likely being nourished very well, that all of your other tissues are taking the nutrients that it needs to have, and then your reproductive system still has plenty of nutrients to take in. To your body is processing enough of those nutrients, it's digesting enough of those nutrients through all of your tissues up until this 31st day, when those nutrients are still floating through your system from 31 days ago when you ate whatever foods it was that provided that nutrient to your body. So those cells from your reproductive system are now being able to absorb all of that, and that allows us to be able to create a healthy life within us. Or as a woman, it's a little bit more of, I think, a visual to like explain it that way, because a man has like a sperm cycle, reproduction of sperm, like on a more regular basis, but for women it's like very obvious and easy to to show that like a cycle for a woman is about 30-ish days. It's anywhere from like 28 to 35, I think, is like the average for, and that fits right into that like 31 days of our body getting all of our tissues nourished through that time period. So I hope that this gives a little bit of an example of like, this to me was like, whoa, this is so cool. Like I can actually kind of visualize a little bit more of how our body takes in nutrients and uses them, and how the different cells of our body get different things. So that's why like bones take a little bit longer to heal, and bone marrow things take longer to heal, because it takes that amount of time for it to even get to those. It takes a couple, what is that, like for the bone, that's 21 days. So that takes 3 weeks for it to get to your bones in general. So for those nutrients to get there in order to be able to even start the healing process. So yeah, I think it's really cool. I was really excited about this, and I hope you are too. I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching this. If you like this content, please give me a like to let me know that this is something that you enjoy, and subscribe if you feel called to, and have a great day. Bye.